Welcome back to the Career Review Podcast. Beth is going to sing us an intro, just like we talked about.
Let's go.
You know, here we go.
She just laughs.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
We tried, guys. Maybe next time.
One day we'll have an official song.
Yes.
We can mission Matthew to do it.
We could. So we finally made it to the end of our favorite series with Beth, and she has given us her favorite movie,
Yes.
which is Little Women, the 2019 version.
How little are these women?
They're normal.
What was the purpose of the title,
I don't know.
Beth?
They're growing up.
Okay.
That makes sense.
I was waiting for more. I was like, and?
Well, yeah. I
How
could
little
go
are
on,
these women
but
is
we'd
a
go off on
quote from one of my favorite TV shows. Did you recognize where it's from?
I didn't.
From a TV show?
Friends. Rachel has Joey read.
I do remember that.
Oh,
Remember that episode?
Had Joey read that book.
And I'm going to be quoting
If she
Joey
would
quoting Little Women throughout the podcast. So
I like it.
Perfect.
actually, one more time, but throughout's okay. So.
Oh, by the way, we have a live audience in our studio.
Woohoo!
This is
Yes.
crazy.
They're clapping.
Thank you. Thank you. So, that's fun. Thought I'd mention that.
We're excited.
we
It's
can
out.
never do
It's a
it.
first. No, that's okay. I won't put them on the spot like that.
A lot of exciting things happening.
Yeah.
So, what happened good for you this week before we dive in? One good thing. For me, the sun came out today. I was really excited.
I know. It's
I
been the
forgot what
first
it
time
looked
in 2
like.
weeks. It's been nonstop rain. What happened good?
I don't know.
I don't know. We worked.
Oh, we
That's
got
good.
pictures made?
Oh, we got
Aw.
pictures made. Yes.
My training pictures made.
That's
that was
sweet.
fun.
They're probably are
I'll show
they
them
on
to you
social
later.
media?
No. I'll show
They'll
them
be
to
on
you
social
later.
media soon.
They'll be on social media
Stay
soon.
tuned.
Baby count. We were doing wedding count. Now we're at baby count.
Yeah.
So
So the baby is
10
officially
weeks.
30 weeks.
Yep, 10 weeks
Yeah.
away.
So
Very exciting.
we're a fourth of the way
I
there.
know. It did. It like
Then we'll have a
hit-
little high chair over
hitting
here.
30. Yeah.
We'll have 5.
What would you rate this movie?
He's gonna be a harsher critic than you, Beth.
Oh, I know. He's
I know
gonna
it's
love
gonna
that one
happen.
and two.
Only because he can't count any higher.
next?
There you go.
Oh man.
If we get a
That's funny.
scream, we know how he really feels.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
All right. So, what
Yeah,
about,
what about
Beth?
Beth? Yeah.
What happened good this week?
What did happen good? I've been driving around and I've been baking cookies. So,
You've been
At the
making
same
more
time?
cookies? You made more
What a
cookies?
skill.
Oh, I've been going back through the Hunger Games, which has been really good. I
The
forgot
books or the movies?
Worth it.
the movies, and then I'm gonna do the books later. But I forgot just how good they are. And you have started the prequel, right?
I did.
Dun, dun.
I'm about
You wanna
175
put it
pages
down.
in. It's so good.
Is it
Every time I
good?
turn around, John's like, in the
Read.
book.
Well,
Looking
you know
forward to
why?
it.
It's because I hate spoilers, and it's a popular book. So I'm like, crap. If I don't
He's
finish
like-
this,
I
somebody's
thought
gonna-
about that. I was like, John's reading this book right now so that no one can spoil it for him. He wants to be the first one done reading
Exactly.
it.
Exactly.
That's
I,
funny.
I won't finish it if someone ruins it.
That's right.
Anyway, so
just have a
nobody
start.
message me if you finished it.
Don't do it.
Such a weird stance on
If
this.
you do, lie to me and tell me you lied to me.
So, Little Women.
No, what happened to you and Ashley?
The sun came out. That's what my good
You gotta
thing.
say
He's
another
turning.
thing.
That's your only thing.
We're going to the beach.
Sad week.
We're going to the beach.
Oh, that's very exciting.
So we're going to the beach. That's what's exciting.
Okay.
So we're prepping for that. So there's
When do y'all leave?
our house is clean. We
is
leave
clean.
Saturday.
Is it Saturday to Saturday?
Saturday to Saturday.
So
So we won't have a
fun.
podcast next week. I had to tell you that. Or y'all can go ahead. It's fine. We'll figure it out. So, but we might take a week hiatus. We'll be at the beach.
We'll figure it out.
That'll be awesome. It is beach season.
So we're kind of in like anticipation mode for that.
Okay.
You know.
Well, that sounds fun.
Yeah, good times. So,
Cool.
Into way. All right, Beth. Why is this? Well,
Let's summarize.
Let's do that
summary
first.
it with some spoilers.
To the
Summary of
program.
some spoilers.
spoilers. Here we
Here
go.
it comes.
Okay, for those of you who have never encountered Little Women before, this is the story of the March sisters. So we have Meg, Jo, Beth, and Amy, and this movie takes us through their childhood growing up into becoming Little Women. So We open up with Jo in New York. She's tutoring some little girls. She's trying to get a book published. We have Meg, who is married to a tutor named John Brooks, and they have twins that they're raising at home. Beth is at home with their parents, and then Amy is over in Paris, and she's learning how to paint, and she's trying to win the hand of a wealthy man. So we have all this going on, and then all of a sudden we start having flashbacks to their childhood, so we get to see them having adventures, meeting their next door neighbor, Theodore Lawrence, who's known as Laurie or Teddy. Beth has scarlet fever. Their dad gets injured in the Civil War fighting for the Union, and just a whole bunch of different things happen, and we just get to see them go through a lot of different things in life. And then all of a sudden Beth gets ill, and it's just really sad. And so Jo comes back from New York to help nurse her sister back to health, and she hangs out with Marmee and Meg. And then we see Amy slowly fall in love with Laurie over in Paris. And then when Beth dies, the whole family comes back together. And so, yeah.
It's always so sad.
I know. It's really hard for me too, because she and I share the. I take it extra personally.
That must be very real for you.
It really is. But yes, so she dies, and we kind of see where the sisters have ended up. Meg is happy with her simple life that she was kind of struggling with. Jo has inherited the great big house from Aunt March, decides to turn it into a school. Her friend's Professor Bear comes back, and they fall in love. She gets her novel published, which is amazing. And Amy and Laurie are married, and the whole family kind of chips in to make this school great for the kids in the area. So that is Little Women in a nutshell.
That's
Wow.
Little Women. Done.
Before we ask you about it, we'll let you breathe. Kinley, what'd you think about these 4 little women?
Well, they weren't as little as expected.
They weren't.
But it was still. I was interested to see this take because I've read the book and I've seen a movie adaptation and I've seen the stage adaptation as well. And I was interested to see how this movie did it. This is the 2019 version, as you can see up here. But it was very interesting, very different, right?
Yes.
Different from the huge, you know, they do something a little different with the story. So it was intriguing. It was definitely intriguing. It was set up in an unexpected manner. So,
What was the version that I saw?
1994.
Previously? 94. I didn't know when it was
Winona
made.
Ryder and Christian Bale.
Yeah.
And you had Kirsten Dunst and Claire Danes were also in this movie. Susan Sarandon.
Susan Sarandon.
Yes. A great cast. And this was my first encounter with Christian Bale, and he was just a love of mine as a child. And then he comes back on screen as Batman. And the first 10 minutes of Batman, I was like, I know him. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, it's Laurie!
He and I are friends.
And you and Dad just looked over at me and were like, shh, no one cares.
We did.
Batman.
Miss Kinley.
I just want to say this about Susan Sarandon real quick. Her ex-husband was Prince Humperdinck in The Princess Bride.
What?
There
Can
you
we talk
go.
about that?
You're welcome.
Full circle.
Tying it all in.
I know, tying it all in. All right, you're welcome, world. So, what did you go and see the play at North Greenville with
Yes.
me? Did you
Yes.
go?
I don't remember this.
I don't.
Probably didn't.
I went with you. I don't remember who else went.
Because we totally went as one of our cultural events, and they did a pretty good job for a
Maybe,
college
yeah.
play. So
Yeah.
anyway, I just wasn't sure if you had gone. So
If I did, I don't remember.
I know we went and
Didn't
saw
go with y'all.
Arsenic and Old Lace. That was
She
an
was
interesting
not
one.
there.
Did
I
you
was
go?
I
Are you
didn't.
sure?
I'm sure.
I don't remember which play, but one play I fell in the parking lot walking to the
Little
theater
Women.
and skinned my knees. I burned holes in my khaki pants in the knees. And I
remember this.
I think it was Little Women.
I think it was.
And I had to sit through the whole play with blood dripping down my legs. And I had to go at intermission and clean my knees. It was terrible.
It was so sad.
Because it was the parking lot next to the library that goes down like that.
Oh, I know it.
And
Oh,
it was
well.
dark, not well lit. I could have sued. I didn't. You're welcome. But anyway, I think it was Little Women.
Oh, my
I saw the played version with bloody knees. So
You did. Because you were like cutting it
Literally.
we
close.
were cutting it. We were cutting it close. It was
We
rough.
made it on time. Dedication and all.
I was just sitting
close or
there
cutting your knees.
cutting my
close.
knees close. It was. I think that was Little Women.
Yep.
It was either that or Arsenic and Old Lace, and I'm pretty sure because of the way they had the stage, it was Little Women.
It was Little Women,
So, just a little tidbit for
Fond
you.
memories.
So anyway, there you go. I know you remember. I knew you were there for the Skint Knees, but I couldn't remember if that was
Yeah.
Little Women. So anyway,
And this was your first encounter, is that right?
Yep, my first.
First
Didn't read the book, didn't see the first movie. First time watching this movie. And I'm like, what is going on?
Going into it, I just said it's about 4 girls. I think they're sisters, and it's a love story.
No, he asked me, he's like, this is about 4 sisters, right? And I'm like, I don't know.
That's what it was.
I know
asked
it's
you, but I
4
was like,
women,
yeah,
but I
think
don't
they're-
know.
Afterwards, I was like, I think they're sisters, and I think it's about love. And I didn't
thought
say
you
this
were
to
like,
her, but
how
in
they
my head,
all
I
love
was
the
like,
same guy.
I remember they burned a book, and one of them died, and that was it. So
Beth, did you die a little bit on the inside when
she died on screen.
It's true.
That's funny. Did you die a little bit on the inside when Amy burned Joe's book? I knew it.
That
I
means
knew it.
yes.
Oh,
Triggered.
words cannot express the pain and agony I feel. Like, this is back when they wrote on paper. There are no backups. There are no copies. Like, this was the one and only novel, and Amy just throws her book away. It's so sad. But Joe has been working on this manuscript for such a long time. She just burned. She
Should
did.
have put it on her laptop and saved
I
it.
mean.
Dumb,
Doc.
dumb little women. Maybe if they were bigger women, they would be smarter. Just kidding. I was nervous at the end, though, when Joe was writing like the story that we've seen take place.
Yeah.
She was writing day and night, and
With all the candles.
With all the
And
candles.
she fell asleep.
And she fell asleep.
Yeah.
I was like, that candle gonna fall over
Yeah,
and
it
burn
was
your
making
house
me
up.
nervous.
Forget the book. You're gonna be homeless. Like
My
crazy.
first thought was the windows are going to fly open and they're all going to go out of order, which is not near the end of the world, but like
It would
the burn
It would have still
scene
been
was
enough for
definitely
Beth
the
to
genre.
go, oh.
I also thought it was crazy. She sent it off to the guy to read instead of taking it because I'm like
that's
you've written a lot.
scary.
This is a lot. This is your only copy. The last time you took him something, he marked
Marked
all
through it.
over it. I was like, I hope you made wrote to
Yeah,
it.
that's true. He
I was like,
just
oh
scribbled
no.
over it.
Anyway,
Oh, no, that was like a heart-wrenching moment for me.
I thought it might
My
have been.
theory was great. I feel like Joe's wrath was like exactly as it
Justified.
should have been.
Well, she said Amy's like defense was, I just really wanted to make you mad, and if I had hurt you, it wouldn't have made you as mad. She's like, duh, like I had to do this to make you mad.
You understand,
You
right?
get it, right? Like,
I was mad.
I was
It's
like-
okay that I
Okay
did
that I
this.
had
and this opens up an interesting like piece of the movie that I appreciate this movie did because I think a lot of other adaptions of the book will kind of paint the characters as one-sided. So this person's good, this person's kind of bad. And this kind of showed the different angles of everybody. So sometimes with Joe, you're like, I think the play adaptation with Joe, you could really see why she didn't want to be with Laurie. But really, you're not supposed to see that at first. You're supposed to see her struggle. It's not supposed to make sense. You're supposed to hate her a little bit here and there, and then you like her at this point. And I thought this movie did a good job of that with most of the characters. Even with the mom, Laura Dern did a great job. And I know this is in the
yes.
book, but don't you give my Christmas dinner away. Don't you dare. Invite them over. Invite them over. Share. But to just give it away.
I know,
And-
and when I was looking at it, I was thinking, well, I didn't think have them over. I was thinking bring it to them, but feast with them there.
Yeah.
And all eat together or something.
Yeah.
And she came in kind of upset because she had been with them, and then she put on the happy face for the girls and went to all the trouble of sitting down to eat, and then says, girls, will you give your dinner up? I was like, what a tease. What a tease. Like, come in crying. Like, don't, they're about to dig in.
What would be your reaction?
I don't know. I don't know.
Like in all sincerity, like think about it. Like you want to do the right thing, but you don't want to give up your
It depends on
breakfast.
who's going to ask me, because if I don't have a lot of respect for this person, I'm like, how do I know that these people are starving and you're not just going to take it for yourself? Right? They're probably
I feel
trying
like
to
your
take my
wrath
food.
over this Christmas dinner is like my level of wrath over the book getting burned.
That's true. That's accurate.
What was your wrath?
What was your wrath
I don't
moment?
know if
When
I
did
had
you
a
want to
wrath-
throw the TV off the console thing?
I don't know if I had a wrath moment.
John, what was your wrath moment?
My wrath was that the movie was too long. 45 minutes too long. Or 30, 45 minutes too long.
I felt like this one dragged a little bit. Did you feel that way? You can say no, Beth.
No, I didn't.
I don't know.
I
and
agree.
I am surprised because they did it differently, which was, I think, for people who had never seen it before, could be confusing.
It was confusing.
Because you're not getting a chronological presentation of the story. Where when it started and things are happening, I'm like, wait. And before we flashed back, I thought, I looked at Ashley and I was like, this is like almost at the end of this movie. They cut out the whole first part and they're gonna make up a bunch of crap at the end. I was really upset about that. And then they flashed back and I was like, I see what they're doing. And Ashley's mom went and saw this movie with a couple of her cousins, and some of the cousins had not known the story and they really had no idea what was going on. So I think you mentioned earlier, say what you were saying, this is definitely a movie for...
This is definitely a movie for the fans. It's not a good movie to have as your first introduction to the story.
Way to brace us for that, by the way. Is that how that's not how they wrote the book, right? They wrote the book chronologically.
The book is
right?
chronological.
I'm like, please tell me someone
like,
didn't actually
you
think writing a
actually
book this way
watch them be
made
little
sense.
and grow up into little women in chronological order. So, and the thing too, I love like how they did this movie as a fan of the story, but this was your first introduction, like the subtleties of flashing back and forth were very little. Like
That's what I was gonna say.
There was a color change, like
I noticed
they were
that.
more
It was
orange
a
and
lot
bright.
more.
I didn't notice
The orange and brightness was the old, and then like
The blue.
the more blue colored,
So I was
more,
looking at
it looked a lot more crisp
hairstyles
and
more.
very picturesque. Like I
Yes.
thought the future or the present or whatever looked way better, but there were times where I was like, wait a minute, wait, what? Or I didn't catch. It was just like so quick that they turned it. Like
There were some
at the very
quick
first time they
changes.
did it, they were like 8 years later or earlier. Is it
7.
8, 7? 7 years earlier, and I was like, oh good, they're gonna let me know. And then they never told us again. I was
flip
like,
back.
I need that.
I had to pay attention to like hairstyles and how their mannerisms were, and I'm like, okay,
When she cut her hair, it
I was
okay.
so
I was
happy when
like,
Joe cut her hair.
Yeah, I was
I'm
like, thank you.
we
Thank you,
can
Joe.
flash
She grew
back.
back.
Especially at that point because they were flipping quite frequently.
But we kept
Right.
asking each other, I was like, is this
I don't
future
know.
or present, past? And
Well, and I
don't
don't
know.
think they did a great job of making them look different either with past and present, because you see Amy like supposedly in school with all these little kids who she looks like their teacher and she's supposed to be their peer, and I was like, ain't no way. This
Yeah.
girl is 40 years old
They didn't
sitting
give
in
her a
this
different
third grade
haircut.
class.
She just had
No,
the
she just
same-
had the same hair.
Yeah.
So it was definitely hard to kind of. I wonder if when they put the 7 years earlier, if it was because they had some screen tests and people were struggling, and so they had to add that on.
to let you know that there was going to be that
Just to
back
kind
and
of set the precedent that we're going to flip back and forth, pay attention, that's what we're doing.
Could be.
I'm going to make a call. They did that.
So yeah, like I do agree.
Executive
Like
decision.
it was a little confusing if you didn't know the story, and like the subtleties of switching back and forth were very, very quick. So
yeah.
Meryl Streep
I was right.
Aunt March.
killed it. What'd you say?
We were watching it, and I was like, John, is that Meryl Streep? He's like, I don't know.
I was like, I guess.
I'm pretty dang sure that's Meryl Streep.
Meryl
Right
Streep killed
was
it
right.
as Aunt March.
Nailed it.
So good.
She's such a queen.
She was so good. She did a good job. They made her look older.
Yeah,
So
good
much
job.
older when they flashed back, and I was like, I wish they would have done that with the girls a little
Yeah.
more. But they did a really good job of that one. So, and I'm glad they didn't talk about her dying too much, because it would have made me sad, even though you're not supposed to like that character too much. So, whatever.
I've always had a soft spot for Aunt March, though. I mean, she's mean and feisty, but
Well, she knows what she's doing.
She knows what she's doing.
She absolutely knows what
Yeah.
she's doing. She's trying to, and she puts it the wrong way. She is a little abrasive with it, but she's trying to, quote, save their family. She's trying to get one of the girls married off to somebody rich to support the rest of the family. And she realizes with Joe it's a lost cause, but what does she do in the end? She leaves Joe her house because she knows Joe's going to do something with it. She knows the girls individually. She knows their personalities, you know?
Yeah.
If she were to do that in present day, she would have been a terrible person. But like given that time, you know, that was very normal.
For the women. So, when you get to see kind of how, even though they're from the same family, it kind of reminds me. The story reminds me. I know we're talking about more of the story than the specific movie right now, but it reminds me of Fiddler on the Roof, because he's got his daughters and they each kind of pick a different path.
Yep.
And so here we've got a daughter that kind of conforms, like Amy really is more rebellious at times, or trying to push against, not as rebellious as Joe, but you see her kind of struggling along, and she conforms to the way of women in that time. She marries somebody rich, she's going to live that lifestyle. You've got...
but she also rebels against her family's way of doing things, because her family has always been about simplicity and like following your heart and marrying the person you love regardless of how much you're going to struggle. And she's like, I don't ever want to struggle again. I'm going to marry someone wealthy. She knows what she wants and she goes after it.
Right. And then we've got Meg, who wants that comfort level, though. She wants the comfort and marries for love, and then you see that struggle as well.
Yes.
So as far as the story goes, I love this story.
Yeah.
So, I guess we'll circle back to what we were going to ask you at the beginning, is why do you love this movie? Why is this your 10?
You're assuming this is her 10.
Yeah,
That's what this was about. It was what movie would be your 10.
it was for us to pick
Our
favorite
favorite.
movie. Doesn't
If
necessarily
your favorite
mean it's
movie's
gonna
not
be
a 10, what is this?
Beth may not have a 10.
Beth
How
doesn't
dare you.
have a
How
10.
How
dare
dare you?
Stop the presses. Beth does not have a 10.
We're going to have to do this again.
There
So
you
you
go.
would have a different answer between a 10 and a favorite movie.
Yes.
Is there a 10?
Okay, so
Seriously, you would have picked it for this if you had a 10.
I don't have a 10.
We'll find out. I don't think she had a 10. Nothing's perfect. She's like that teacher that will never give you 100,
you can always do
I'm
better.
upset.
right?
If somebody really earns
I'm
a
not
10, I'll give them a
surprised.
10.
Okay. You just don't think any movie has ever earned it. Any movie you've ever seen has never earned it.
Not yet.
Good to know.
What's the highest you think you've seen?
That'll be this. We'll find out.
We'll get to it.
Y'all are.
Is it this one?
Are we jumping to the
Okay, Beth, why is this one of your favorite movies?
Yeah.
Let's get back
What
on
do you love
track
about this
here.
movie?
Yes. I love this movie because, number one, I love that he's just in shock over here.
You're
It's
so
okay.
amped up right now.
I love this movie because I love the story of the sisters. I love their... You're just never going to recover from this, are you?
I'm recovered.
Are you?
Continue.
I'm ready, Beth.
I mean...
This one over here, I tell you. For audio listeners, I was pointing at Jennifer. This one. Okay, I'm ready. You ready?
Are you serious?
I've been ready.
Okay, so the reason I love this movie is, number one, I love the bond of the sisters. I love the courage that they have to go against the grain of the time that they lived in, and I really relate to Jo. I love her wild spirit, I love the writer in her, and I love how they all just kind of like struggled to become women, because I feel like with each struggle that they encounter, like I've encountered that in some way or another growing up, and so it's just a very relatable movie as a woman to watch. So I like it.
Word.
Yeah.
That's good. So the first time did you read the book first?
I didn't. I watched the movie first, the 1994 version, because there are 7 adaptations of this.
Oh my goodness. It's almost, I wonder how many there are for Peter Pan.
Oh.
I see
There's
more.
probably 8 stage
Every time
adaptations.
they make a new one, I'm like, it's another one. Why?
Another version of it, you know.
Yeah.
No. But I watched it, I was really little. I think I was probably like 7 or 8.
She was a little woman.
I was.
Aw, that's sweet. Poetic.
It was. I also think this was the first one I probably sobbed through. Like, this movie just really hit me on a deep level when I was little. And then I read the book, and then I've watched numerous adaptations since.
Well,
Yeah.
good.
Numerous. You don't have the number. You don't know how many.
I haven't watched all 7, but I've watched a lot of them.
Have you watched the one with Elizabeth Taylor? I
Yes.
didn't know that was a thing, and Ashley told me, and I want to watch it now.
Yes.
Ashley says it's so good. She screams from
Elizabeth
the back.
Taylor's great. I also love the version that they did in 2018, which was a modern day telling of the story, and it was really good.
What's it called? Is it called Little Women?
Little Women.
Well, that just gets confusing on IMDb. You'd think it would be like
But-
Little Women 4 or Littler Woman or something like
There's
that.
like
Prequel.
There's also BBC versions. There's miniseries. Like, this
Yeah.
has been told time and time again.
There's a
It's
Little Women LA and a Little Women Atlanta. Is
There was
that-
a little.
I-
There's a
I-
Little Women in
I think that's
2019,
about
Little Women in 2018,
small.
Little Women in 2017,
Please,
Little
not.
Women in 2016,
Yeah.
Little Women Atlanta.
That's actually about
Little
the
Women
whole
LA
people.
was 2014.
It's a great story.
That's confusing.
Proof.
Katharine Hepburn, I think, was in the first one. That's with Elizabeth Taylor, right?
No.
No.
Ashley says
So the Elizabeth
no.
Taylor version was the second one. Okay, so Katharine Hepburn was in I think the first one ever, 33.
Yep. And the
Black
book
and white.
was written in
It was
1868.
the first movie.
She was in 49. Okay, good to know.
So,
Word. What's the next thing that we talk about?
Well, so let's talk about favorite moments of the movie. Favorite
Jennifer.
moments.
Don't start with me.
Don't start with her.
John.
I really liked at the end when
When it ended.
when it ended and I got to go to bed. I also like the popcorn break in the middle. I didn't have popcorn, but anyway. No, in the movie, my favorite part was probably when she is brought her book to the publisher, or she sent it to the publisher, but she was talking to him about it, and he was telling her that it needed to end with a marriage. And then she's like, finally agreed with him, and then they like go to the scene of her getting married.
That was well done.
I loved how they did that. It was really cool.
So just a note on that, I love this amount of detail that they put in. So in all the other versions, the proposal is like a really sweet, very romantic moment. And if you notice, this one it's rushed. And it's because the publisher insisted. And that is actually real life for Louisa May Alcott, the writer of the original book. The publisher forced her to make Joe married. And so they had that little
Whoa.
struggle.
Because she never married,
Blew my
right?
mind.
Right. I don't think she did. It's been a while since I've looked at her. But yeah, they put that in as a nod to her of like, we remember how your true story was. So I liked it.
That's neat.
Yeah. It's a good scene.
Yeah. So that was me. Mine.
You're so convincing.
Mine was also around, it wasn't that whole, I liked that whole part, but when she's talking to, after we find out her ending with the professor, she's talking to him kind of finagling on price and everything, and I
Yeah.
really like just how she kind of, you see the difference from the very beginning when she comes in and he marks all over it, and he's slamming his stuff on, it's like a little aggressive, but
Very dramatic.
she, just how she handles herself at the end, I'm going to own my own book. She keeps the copyright. She's going to, and she wants this and that, and he's trying to, and they settle, she got 6.6%, which I think was ridiculous, but whatever. So,
Ridiculously low.
low.
Yeah.
Low.
That's actually really good for them.
I'm sure it is. I just think it's sad.
Like
They were
recording
women.
artists, like musicians, I think they make what,
terrible.
5%? It's something crazy. So that's actually
don't know.
a pretty normal.
So the
percentage.
got
money's
my money
not
yet.
with being a recording artist, it's being
The
part of
publisher.
the label, the
Yep.
publisher.
Yeah, producer, publisher.
Mark
That's where
it
the money's
down.
You
at.
publish your own stuff, you're good. Just do that.
100%, baby.
Just go on.
That's right.
Go on Amazon, self-publish, and it's print to order.
Why didn't everybody think about that? So dumb.
Gosh.
America.
They didn't do the internet, and they didn't do Amazon. What was the first thing I said? Google Doc for her.
Google Doc.
And then
Save it
Amazon.
on your laptop.
My
That's
gosh,
what
we're
you
doing
said.
everything wrong. We're rewriting this story.
I would love to see your version of Little Women.
Please rewrite Little Women.
Maybe I'll
According
write
to
like
John.
a short summary of how I think it goes down, and then I'll get to that next.
And the
podcast.
sequel is Little Men.
Ashley said, and I didn't remember this, but Ashley said the part where, I don't remember exactly, but is the part where she opens up, you kind of saw the scene of her in the Aunt March's house, turning
Right.
it to, that's not in the original Little Women, is it? They just say it. Do they go to it? That sets up Little Men, right? Isn't that right?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
they go to the house. You don't actually see, in most versions, you don't actually see students in it, but she goes to the house and she's received it and has talked about what she wants to do with the house.
And that's where the sequel takes
Little Men,
place.
yep,
right?
it's her and Professor Bear running the school for boys.
But there you go.
Yeah.
Little Men.
Google.
Jennifer, do you have a scene that stood out to you?
Honestly, I would probably have to rewatch it to pick one, but one offhand that I can think of is when Amy is in, where was she?
Paris.
France.
Thank you. She was like, trying to accept the fact that she didn't feel like she was good enough to be an artist. And through all that, getting to know Laurie better on a more personal basis. And then he asks her, he's like, don't marry him because you don't love him. And she kind of realizes that and turns Freddie,
Fred.
Fred.
Freddie,
I don't know.
that man,
Fred Vaughn.
Fred Vaughn.
down after he proposed to her. So I was like, good for you for like soul searching and going with your heart there.
I think the last time we see Aunt March is when Amy told her she, like, didn't, you know, and I believe that's what killed Aunt March, Amy not marrying Fred Vaughn.
It could be.
Because right after that, Beth dies, and then Aunt March is very sick, and I think it poisoned her soul to know that Amy let her down once again.
All the girls just letting her down.
That's what I would say if I was sick. Anyway.
100%.
Your favorite part?
Yes. So I love the scene where Lori is proposing to Joe, and it's just a very emotional scene, but I love the fact that, like, you know, he's giving her all these reasons. Like, we're friends, like, everyone expects it of us, like, we'll have fun, you just marry me. I've always loved you. And Joe has enough, like, self-awareness and confidence to realize, like, I love you as a friend, but it's not going to work out. And if I marry you, I'm taking the easy way out. And it's, again, if you think about that time frame, like, women didn't have any opportunities. Like, they had to get married to survive. And I love, Amy even has a speech about how marriage is always an economic proposition for a woman. And it was so well done. But I love this, and she's basically turning down her chance at, her and her family's chance of security, since Lori is wealthy, and just taking that stand of, like, I don't love you the way I should, and it wouldn't be good for either of us if I said yes. So I really liked that scene. And I also loved when her book is published and we get to see it being put together. So beautiful.
You were going to say
It
that.
made me, I love
Yes, me the book lover.
very much up her alley. I did love that part, but then I thought, how terrible was it to live before printing presses? Because that printing press was not fast at all.
No.
Could you imagine how, like, much longer it
not
took to
fast.
copy that
I am
crap by
not
hand? I was like, oh my
To
god.
sew it and to hand paste the leather. Like, it's just such a process.
I
Labor of
know.
love.
Yeah.
What was the book originally published? Do you know, like, the color? Did they try and match it at all?
I'm not sure. That would be interesting to know.
I feel like red was too expensive back then. I don't know.
No idea.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? Let's talk about cast for a minute.
Yes.
Good cast of characters. Who is your favorite? Okay, we'll pause. Who is your favorite character? And then who is your favorite actor or actress? They can be different. So your favorite character in the story,
okay.
but then your favorite, you know, person, how they portrayed their character. My favorite character and actress is Meryl Streep as Aunt March. Done. Period. Finished.
If you had said anything else, I would have been shocked.
But I thought Laura Dern did a great job as the mother,
She did
Marmee.
a fabulous job as Marmee. I feel like in a lot of the other versions, Marmee doesn't have a lot of personality, and Laura
It brought her to
Dern-
life.
Yes, and I like that she gave her some faults too. She talked about her anger and just, you know, she made her more human. So I think she did a great job with that. Mine is, I love Joe, and I love the way Saoirse Ronan portrayed her. But I also think that Florence Pugh did a great job with Amy, because normally I hate Amy. Like, Amy is my least favorite character, and I don't like her, but I feel like she played her in such a way that I actually liked Amy by the end of the film.
She actually pointed this out, and I couldn't unhear it. She had a deep voice.
Yeah.
I was like, oh,
I was thinking that
I wasn't
too.
expecting that.
That was
For
another,
whole
Amy.
movie.
that was
I was
another
thinking
thing, like
that.
when they were showing like the flashbacks of them being young, and with her with that really deep voice.
Sitting there, hunched over that desk with all those children
kids.
around with that deep voice. I just couldn't buy it. Like, she's not in third grade, guys.
Oh man. Favorite character, I think I liked Laurie the most, but favorite actor / actress. I don't know his name, but the guy that played Mr. Lawrence, the old guy.
Oh, okay.
I
So
love
his name's
him.
Chris Cooper. Fun note. Did you
Oh,
see
there
A
he
Beautiful
is.
Day in the Neighborhood, the Mr. Rogers
No,
story?
not
we're
yet.
soon.
It's so good. He played the main character's, like, dad, which totally different.
Totally different.
I won't say anything so y'all can watch it, but it's totally different characters.
Okay.
So it's good that you picked him as an actor because he did a great job.
I loved
In
him.
that
He
role.
did so good.
Mm-hmm.
He showed a lot of emotion, like with thinking Beth was like his own daughter. Just like, oh, the feels. And then
Think
she
he has the
died. And
feels.
then, sorry.
I know.
And then
Beth died?
he just wanted to hear the music, you know.
He did a really good job
Touched
with
me.
it.
Yeah.
And their relationship was really good. So
I
like
really
that.
liked it. It was sweet.
My favorite actress was Laura Dern, and primarily because she was also in Jurassic Park. I have no shame in saying that. But far as character, I think I may like Meg, just because I feel I can. What's the word I said earlier? Identify with her as a mother.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Well, we haven't even mentioned Emma Watson, but
Emma.
amazing as always.
Always
That's
good.
Hermione
We love her.
Granger.
Hermione
I know
Granger.
she did that. There's a few times where she was doing her American accent, and I could hear the British in her. I was like,
There was one time where she quoted something in British.
in British.
And I went, Hermione, where are you? It's like, pull out your wands,
Yeah.
fix Beth, she's dying.
Potion.
She did a good job. It was
Yeah,
good.
she did.
So I had one casting issue, and it wasn't with the story. It was just
Oh, I
with
thought you
me.
said you had a wand casting issue.
No. Well, no.
One
You got to swish
casting.
and flip.
So Father March, played by Bob, I can never say his last name, Odenkirk, he did a good job, but I cannot unsee him as a number of characters,
Oh, I know.
and especially in the comedy realm.
Yeah.
Him being a serious actor, I was like, I just struggled. I struggled to see him in this
Yeah.
in like that role because he was in How I Met Your Mother. He was Marshall's boss, or Barney's boss, who loved his dog Tugboat.
Yeah.
And Tugboat dies, and it's very sad. And then he was in the one episode of the last season of The Office, where Jim's in Philly, and Pam goes to interview at this office, and she goes, "Oh my gosh, it's Michael Scott," and he acts just like Michael Scott.
Yeah.
And so he just has those funny roles, and he's been in a lot of other crazy
I
things.
couldn't unsee him from Breaking Bad.
I wondered if
Yeah.
you would be identifying him there. Did you watch Better Call Saul?
No. I've seen all of Breaking Bad, though.
Okay.
And
But
he's in
I
most
guess
episodes.
with that, we see him so little in this movie. Like he's kind of a big name to have such a small role in this, but
Because they couldn't pay him for the whole movie. Just like,
That's
oh, you can come
true.
in on a Thursday? We'll get you in a little bit.
We'll get all those scenes in. They could have done all his scenes on a Thursday. They
he was
could
in there
have
very,
done
very
that.
little.
He
Yes.
was. I wonder if he was supposed to have a bigger role. I don't know. I thought Hannah is a good character, and the actress that did Hannah, the kind of the housekeeper maid
Yes.
person, was good too. So, yeah.
Did you guys have any lines that stood out to you?
I can't think of anything.
I liked when, well, it kind of goes back to Mr. Lawrence and him and Beth's relationship when he was kind of teasing her about trying to get somebody to speak up, saying they wanted to play piano, and he's like, "Would any of you care to play?" And she's like, "I would," or somebody would care to play, or however she worded it.
Yeah, the way she said it was
Yeah, it
good.
was really
Yeah.
fun. So that scene I really liked. I butchered it, but you saw it.
I know what you're talking about.
You know.
Yeah,
Have you seen this movie? It's okay.
it's okay. What about you? Anything that stood out?
You reminded me of my favorite line.
Oh yeah, Aunt Marge.
Aunt
I'm
Marge.
not always.
I'm not always right, but I'm never wrong.
As soon as she said it, and it was Meryl Streep saying it, I was like, Kinley.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
it's
I
good.
had a lot that stood out to me. One of them is like towards the earlier phases of Little Women, Jo is talking to Lori, and she's like, "I can't get over my disappointment at being a girl," and I love it, and it's really funny, but also like, I don't know if you were like this, Jennifer, but I remember being little and like when you're a toddler, you learn that there's differences between boys and girls, but like you don't really realize the differences of inequality until you start to get to like 8 or 9. And like I remember having this phase of like, oh, I just want to be a boy because they get to do way more than I get to, and like I don't want to wear a dress and I don't want to fix my hair, and like I just had this phase where I wanted to be a tomboy because I felt like they had more freedoms and more rights than I did, and so it was just like that struggle of trying to figure out your role in society and the expectations. But I liked that they like brought that in.
Doesn't help that you had 2 brothers either.
No, and y'all got to do stuff way earlier than I did, and I was so bitter about it. I'm still bitter
Thanks for
about
paving
it.
the way. Thanks for paving the way.
I tried.
Big sister for the win.
Yeah.
That's right. But yeah, so I liked that. And then there's just so many good ones. Like, we could just sit here all day. They had some really beautiful lines. But I love the one that Laura Dern Marmee says, and she's talking about like some spirits are too noble to be curved and too lofty to bend, and just talking about like Jo has a wild and free spirit. and she shouldn't conform just because that's what society is expected of her, and just to be
It's
her.
nice that her mom accepted her for who she was and didn't try to force her into
Yeah.
anything, you know.
Yeah.
It was a cool mom move. And why
Definitely.
why did they call her Marnie?
That's just how they called her mother.
That's weird.
Yeah. They were
Is
just
that
a
not her
little-
first name?
Oh, was it?
I don't know.
Even if
They
it
call
was, why would you call your mom by your
Marmee.
first name?
They were kind of cutting edge.
Marmee.
They were cutting edge.
Are you
family.
my Marmee?
Oh no!
Yikes.
That
It's a
episode
new
of
thing.
Doctor Who.
New
So
thing.
creepy. So creepy.
New thing.
Oh man. Okay, so I would love to know the whole Joe, Laurie, Amy triangle. How do you feel about this?
Were you looking at me specifically? Because I
And
wasn't
he's
asking
looking.
all of us.
Okay.
All of you, yeah.
I just didn't know if I was on the spot and wasn't paying attention.
It's you, John.
Oh,
Only you.
We're starting with you.
it was okay.
Laurie's a little twerp. And I was like, I'm just like, he always got on my nerves. I don't think he should have been with Joe. I also don't think he should have been with Amy.
I agree
I
with
just,
that.
I thought that was too weird for me in that story. I've always had an issue with that part. I'm like, I don't want him and Joe to be together, but I also don't want he and Amy to be
He
together.
had his chance and he blew it and then tried to
Yeah.
ruin other things. Yeah.
It is really weird. I don't know that as Joe, I would have been okay with that. I'm like, he was interested in me, and now all of a sudden he's married to my sister.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. I find it very hard to believe he was always interested in both of them. Did he say he was interested in both of them? No. Okay. I've
no.
had to watch them.
His eyes were always set on Joe, and it didn't work out.
I think he just had a list and nope, that one's not going to work. Next on the list, nope, that one's
So why
not
would
going to
you
work.
just go straight to someone's sister? That's just.
Well, Ashley said,
Ashley agrees.
Ashley had a couple thoughts. One of them was so weird he was interested in two sisters.
Yeah.
And then the part at the end, you know, Joe writes that letter to him, talks to Marmee about Gun Love and puts it. I thought she sent the letter. I thought that was an old timey mailbox, but it was just apparently a wooden box stuck on a tree. And I'm glad it didn't get sent. But Ashley said she thought it was sweet/neat how Marmee knew Joe was going to say yes, and then you know to him later on. But they show up. He and Amy are married, and then that's just kind of their unspoken secret.
Jennifer and I were
Yeah.
talking about how funny it would be if they, when she goes back to retrieve the letter, if it wasn't there and they never said where it was, just left it open-ended. Like, wait, what?
That's how the movie should have ended. She should have opened the box. The wind blows, and we zoom out above the trees. That should have been it.
That's it.
Check it off the list.
Well, it wasn't a real mailbox. It was
I
Laurie.
know, whatever
Laurie
it
gave
was.
it to him, so that's where they traded all their
Yeah.
secrets. Yeah. But
That's where the
it
keys
would have been
came
really
from.
awkward if he had gotten that letter before she did. Whoops.
Whoops.
Talk about some family
Awkward
drama.
moment.
Oh
That's funny.
man.
I love how Amy made Laurie like talk to Joe because Joe hasn't seen Amy in months. How long was she in Paris?
A long time.
Possibly
A
over
year.
a year.
Yeah.
Comes downstairs. Did he tell you? Like, hi sister, good to see you too. Like,
Like,
Yeah.
you should have been the one who told me of your betrayal, not Laurie.
Joe handled it well though. Joe's
did.
like,
She just said, "Yeah, about the baby?"
I would have just said, I'll never tell anyone. Just to see what happens. That's funny.
Just to stir the pot up a little bit. I mean, you gotta have a good pot stirring once in a while.
Yeah.
So to briefly talk about Friends, because I love that episode, and Rachel gets Joey to read the book, and then halfway through the episode they fight a little bit, and they start spoiling things for each other, because Rachel's reading something that Joey would always just reread, and he put it in the
Was she
freezer.
reading The Shining?
The Shining, that's what it was, The Shining, thank you. And they keep spoiling for each other, and they kind of get up, and Rachel goes, and he's not halfway through the book, maybe around there, and he's liking it. Rachel says, Beth dies. Joey goes, Beth dies? It's just really
Christ.
upset. And I think it was Chandler that says, Rachel wouldn't spoil this one book that's made you read something other than one book for the first time ever, you know?
It's
Rachel's
amazing.
like, no, Beth doesn't die. And the episode ends with
Later.
Joey coming into Rachel's apartment, and he's like, Beth's really sick. Joe said she's coming, but I don't know if she's going to get there. He just starts crying.
That's really
I love
sick.
it. I love it. He's got this look on his face. That's really sick. Rachel, come here, honey. You know.
Oh, it's so traumatic.
Man, they really hit the emotions on the movie when it was like, when they did the past and present right next to each other with her being sick. And it's like, oh, she's okay. And it's, oh, no, she's dead.
She's very dead. I loved the mirror, though. That probably is my second favorite part of the story, how they mirrored those two scenes.
Yes.
With her being sick younger, it's bright. Jo wakes up from her bedside. She's not there. She goes downstairs. She's sitting at the table with her mom, you know.
And Meg, yep.
And Meg. Like, she's happy, you know. Cut to the darker time, the present time. She wakes up. She's not there. She goes downstairs. Mommy's crying. She's dead. Yeah, I mean, you know, like, it's just...
And what really got me is like Jo had that look of hope as she's coming down because she's done this
She's done it
before and
before.
she was fine. And so like you have that moment of hope and then it's just, oh, it's so heart-wrenching. So well done.
I think they had that line on the beach. Beth was, you know, knew she was going to die and says something to Jo, you can't, I don't know what she says, stop, it's not stop fate, but it's something along those lines. And Jo said, I did it once before. And then we hear how that happened. And she took care of her and she was well.
Yeah.
But anyway, I thought how they kind of put those two scenes next to each other was well done.
Yeah, definitely.
Right on.
All right.
You ready for that review?
Shall we, crew, review this? Steph? Ready?
You didn't rate
Jennifer?
it?
Rate it.
I'm conflicted on my number. 4. I liked the movie. Romance, strictly romance, is not my thing. I like romance comedies because I like to laugh. I liked the movie. It was a good movie. I probably would watch it again, but as far as like my heart feels, a 4.
Yeah. She said in the middle of it, she's like, I don't like this. I don't like feeling sappy.
I don't like it.
And it's just like, and I'm pregnant. So it's heightened.
4.
Yeah.
John?
I gave it a 6. I mean,
That's really high.
and well,
I'm really impressed. Well done. Not only did you watch this movie, but you gave it above a 5.
if I liked this genre, it would have been a wonderful movie because I thought it was very well done. I will give it that. It was just hard to give it anything higher than a 6 because I don't. The end.
Yes, I know.
Beth?
Yes, so I loved it. It's a great becoming of age. It does a lot of topics. My only 2 things were just
I'm ready to hear it.
I'm just ready for the number.
how they cut back and forth. I feel like that could have been confusing if you hadn't seen this story before. That was like my only thing with this. Loved it. I give it a 9.
A 9!
That's best.
Higher than
That's best
expected.
standard.
I gave this movie a 6.5 for that reason. I give the story an 8 to a 9. It's a good story. The movie, with a couple pieces, I gave it a 6.5. Ashley gave it a 6, which gives us a
High
crew
five,
review of 6.3 overall for
There you
this
go.
movie. So Little Women from the crew gets a 6.3. Anybody in our audience seen this movie? The first one. One of the other 7, right? So, no, they haven't seen it. So, anyway, 6.3 for Little Women. And that concludes our 5-week series of the Crew's
Favorites.
Faves.
Cool.
So, there we go.
The theaters are not open still. So, right?
Yeah,
Theaters
Right.
not open? Okay, so
We're still waiting.
we're waiting. So meanwhile, we are moving on to Maleficent. What is it? What is it?
Maleficent, Mistress of Evil.
Mistress of Evil.
It's the
However,
second one.
y'all will be out of town, so maybe we'll do that in like 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
So we'll think of something while you're gone, something you don't like
Sure.
Star Wars or something.
Yes, do that.
So
Do Star Wars.
Surprise.
we may do something just to keep it going,
Sounds good.
but we'll resume in 2 weeks with that. So does that work?
Perfect. Maleficent in 2 weeks.
The second one,
The second
not
one.
the first one. So
It's streamable now on Disney Plus.
both of them, right?
Just the
So-
first one. Just the second one. Sorry, the
okay.
first one will be available October on
Oh,
Disney
okay.
Plus.
What's
Is
it
there
on
some,
right
is it
now?
on somewhere
Tease.
else?
It's on somewhere else has the rights. I don't know if they currently have it playing, which is weird. These streaming rights, am I right?
Yeah,
Let's
all
see.
the streaming rights are exciting. Yeah.
Well, that shows me where you can rent it, but
Have you seen the first one?
We all watched the first one.
I couldn't remember if we watched it
before the
together.
second one came out, and then we couldn't go see the
Okay.
second one with y'all in the theaters for some reason.
It'll be the second time I watch it.
Yeah,
and I
something
loved
came
it,
up,
so it's
and
fine.
we were
don't
supposed to go
remember.
with
Very
y'all.
excited to hear what you guys think about it. New times.
Good times. So for the second one, the one we're going to watch, is available for streaming. And if you haven't watched the first one, just rent it. It's worth your money.
And while we were waiting on
pretty good.
theaters to open, if you have a movie you want us to review, let us know.
Yes.
We'd love to hear your suggestions.
And why? We should.
And why. And we want to hear your faves too. We've done our faves. Let us know in the comments what was your favorite of our 5-week series.
Oh, yeah.
Let's
And
do
then
that.
Good one.
What your favorite movie is.
Then what your favorite movie is. How
Yeah.
about that? We'll do that. So,
Good one, Kinley.
all right, Beth, take
Until
us out.
next time, we go bake tonight.
Woo.